Hello and welcome to this new lesson in which we will talk about the PCB and the footprint for the created library or the created item that we just draw its schematic in the previous lesson. First things first, click Ctrl S to save this design. Now let's go to the datasheet to see the information that we need. Now, in order to create a footprint, you need to know few things. So let's move to section 8 in this in this datasheet. So the bin out and bin description. Let me show you the information that we need. This is it. First thing, you need to know that this is a 32-pin 32A package IC, and this is how it looks in the SMD type. Here we have a few values: E, D, D1, E1, B, and E. All of these values are important. We can get them from this table for this specific 32A module for 32-pin, which is our module. For your IC, you must search for the datasheet and go to the section where you can see the schematic with the E, D, E, and other items here. So let's take a quick look at these values. As you can see, we have a min and a max for each value. This is the D, and looking here, you can see that E means the distance from here to here, while this D is the distance from here to here. Since this is a square, they are very likely to be the same. As you can see, E 8.75, D 8.75. This is in millimeter, so we must write it in millimeter. Now that we knew its type 32A, we must go to our software, and in library window, let's click in the project. This is the library. Let's click here in the PCB library file. As you can see, this is our PCB menu. It's empty. So let's go to Tools, IPC Compliant Footprint Wizard. This is the wizard that we will use to create the footprint. We don't want to create it manually. This wizard will help us a lot in creating our footprint, so I recommend using it. So this wizard will help you to draw footprints that follow the IPC compliant footprint standard. Just click next. Now you can choose which type is your IC. As you can see, we have names and description. You can get the type from the datasheet, but by going through these names, the image here explains the type. So you are most likely to find your type by going here through these. Then go to your datasheet to make sure that you choose the right type. I think that we have the QFB or LGA, no, PQFB, I think. Okay, let's go to the datasheet to search for the footprint type 32A. Okay, it's TQFB here, as you can see, in the very same sheet that have these numbers. So let's go back and search. If there is no TQFB, you must go with the BQFB because it's basically the same, with the difference that this one is a plastic quad flat pack. Okay, now let's choose. There is no TQFB, there is BQFB. Click on it, then click next. Now, as you can see, it's asking for the values that I already mentioned in this datasheet, E and D values. So let's copy the E value. Okay, this is it. The E. And the D value, it's the same. As you can see, I'm copying the maximum value and the maximum value here. Now let's copy the minimum value Okay, I'm copying the minimum, I'm copying the minimum value. Now let's go get the maximum value from here. It's the same for both numbers, so 9 and 9. Okay, now the A and A1, let's see. Here we have the A. Okay, and now we want the A1. We can simply copy it from here and paste it here. Okay, now you can choose the side of or pin 1 location, side of D or center of E. As in the datasheet, we can see that we have the pin on this side, so side of D, as you can see, not the center of E. This E, and this is the center of E, so it's side of D. This is D, and this is its side. As you can see, D is here and here, so this is the side, while E, this is its center, so there is no pin here. This is the first pin, so going back and choosing side of D, click on next. You can view the 2D and 3D module. Click next. Now we need these values, the B, L, E1, D1, E, and D. I'll copy these values without. Okay, let's start by copying the B value. This is it. The minimum is 0.13, while the maximum is 0.45. Now the L, 0.45, while the maximum is 0.75. Now we want the E. Okay, 0.80, and we want E1, D1. Okay, E1, while maximum is 7.10. Okay, let's see, maximum is 7.10. The other value is for D1, it's the same, so I'll copy the maximum, 7.10, 6.9. Okay, as you can see, the shape here is changing depending on these values. Next we want the E and D values. E, okay, number of pins, the number of pins is 32. Okay, now let's see, the package has 124 leads. Okay, now for number of pins in the E, as we mentioned, here's the E, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pins in the D and 8 pins in the E, so we must go back and write 8. As you can see, this is the final 3D view of our item. As you can see, this is the 2D and this is the 3D module. Now click next. You can add a thermal pad if you wish. If you don't want, you can skip it and click next. Okay, now you can either use the calculated values for the heel spacing, or you can change them if you have special values, but I'll recommend that you keep these as calculated. So next, use default values. If you want, you can specify how the pin lies on the board, but I prefer that you use the default values since the IC is already manufactured and you and you don't have power for how the bin is manufactured, use calculated components for the required package value. Now click next. Use default values, use calculated. Okay. Now next. As you can see, for all of these steps, we just click next and use calculated values until we reach the final step. Now, as you can see, this is the current PCB file, where to store the finished footprint, current PCB library. You can choose to add a 3D shape, produce 3D step module in step and add it here. Just click next, then finish. Now, as you can see, we have our 2D footprint for the item that we just created. In the schematic, you can click here, as you can see, and this is the footprint for the library for that mega item. Depending on the datasheet, we just created that footprint. Okay, thanks for watching. Next, we will talk in more details about how to configure this footprint, how we can save it, how we can change anything that we want in this footprint. Thanks for watching. This is Educational Engineering Team. If you have any question, please ask in the Q&A board. Happy learning.